Hi, my name's Ruth Moilliet and I work as an artist and sculptor. In this video I'm going to show you how to use some of the discarded plastics and recycle them in your arts and crafts. Things like these carrier bags and food bags, or these plastic bottles. Over the years I've had several opportunities to exhibit at and create work for Gallery Oldham, with several pieces held at the gallery collection and on display in the gallery entrance. A second solo show, Devotions to the Goddess Flora, opens at the gallery in June 2023. For this exhibition I have researched rare and endangered plant species and studied essays written between 1874 and 1876 by botanists and plant collectors local to the Oldham area. They travelled from Oldham to Scotland to study and collect mountain plant species that are now preserved in the herbarium at Gallery Oldham. In recent years I've begun to use recycled materials in my work, in particular the mountain of single-use plastic found around us in our everyday lives. I like to use colour in my work as is found in the natural world, such as a field of wild flowers or blossom on a tree. I have looked at ways to use sheet material that I can then cut and form and utilise within my sculptures. These are some of the works that I have created and some of the making processes I have used. Some of the methods are simple and can be used by us all. In my sculptures I've always drawn inspiration from plants and the natural world. In particular, I look at the structure of flowers and the many beautiful forms that create an individual bloom. In this video, I will show you how to create a flower of your own, which can be displayed individually or as part of a larger group, such as these flowers here. These are the materials and equipment that you will need to create your flower. Some soft plastic carrier bags, food bags and parcel bags, A4 paper, preferably recycled, and a wooden chopping board, plastic bottles like these here, 1 and 2 litre, an iron, baking paper, scissors, pencil and compass, a rubber, blue tack and some double-sided tape, preferably the clear type like this that can be reused. Please remember when using hot or sharp objects to be very careful and ask an adult to help you if necessary. This is how we prepare our plastic sheets. Cut the sheets so that they are as flat as possible, cutting any sides to prevent the plastic being bulky. Turn on your iron and put it to the hottest setting. Take your greaseproof paper and cut it into 2 squares, because you're going to sandwich the plastic between it so that you can press it flat and bond the plastic together. I have chosen a range of colours to use for my flower. We're going to be working to a size approximately 22 centimetres square. So this carrier bag I've folded in half, and then I'm going to cut it down so that it's a slightly smaller shape, closest to the size that we actually want to work with. It's a little bit of trial and error as to how many layers of plastic you want to work with at any one time, but a bag like this, which is fairly thick, you can have 4 layers all together to create your plastic sheet. Place the greaseproof paper onto the table and place the plastic sheet on top. Then place the second piece of greaseproof paper on top of that to create a sandwich. We want to ensure that none of the plastic is visible because we don't want it to be sticking to the iron. You then take your iron and press firmly onto the sheet, keeping it moving so that it's evenly bonded. It will vary how much pressure you have to put and how long you need to do this for, depending on the thickness of plastic. You may find that some plastic crinkles up really quickly, but don't be frightened by this. Just keep pressing and you can always add further layers of plastic to it to get the desired effect and shape for your plastic sheet. I then use the wooden chopping board and place this on top of the sandwich of paper and plastic to absorb some of the heat and to stop the plastic from crinkling up and curling too much. Wait a few moments and then have a look at the sheet and see how it feels. As we can see, this is not quite bonded in all areas, so we just do it again. And we keep pressing until we've got a sheet that is thick enough for us to work with. I'm applying quite considerable pressure to the iron, as you can see. It's important to remove any air bubbles from the sheet because we don't want the flower to come apart when you've put all the hard work into making it. As you can see, this sheet is now nicely formed. There's no air bubbles and it's a nice tough layer of plastic. For the flower petals, you want them to be quite rigid, so I'm going to add some further layers of plastic to this one, just to give it a little bit more thickness. And repeat the process until I'm happy with the sheet. Younger children will need some adult assistance when using the iron like this, or maybe even want to ask your adult helper to just do it for you and you can observe. You can have lots of fun choosing the plastic bags and the different colours that you want to use within your flower. And now we can see that this plastic sheet is nice and thick, and I think that will be very successful to create some lovely petal shapes. You can now go on and repeat this process to create all the different colours of plastic sheet that you want to make. For example, I recommend that one flower should have a layer of green sepals, that's the leaves that go at the bottom of the flower, a layer of petals that could be multiple layers in the different colours that you want to use, or create 2 or 3 sheets of the same, and then yellow or white for the stamen that go at the centre of the flower. Remember that the paper and plastic may still be warm when you remove the chopping board. I'm going to use this yellow for the centre of my flower for the stamen here. So this piece can be smaller, so I'm going to use this plastic and fold it in half again and then apply more heat. And finally, a sheet of green. This carrier bag has been cut so that it's as flat as possible and you haven't got the thick material that's at the bottom of the bag. Because the process is so easy to do, if you're partway through making your flower and you decide that you want a little bit more of an extra colour, it's easy to return to this process and press some more plastic. You can be as imaginative as you like when creating your sheet. Here are some where I've introduced some other soft plastic materials, such as veg bags. Here I have cut up lots of little pieces of plastic and created a collage on the sheet. This is veg bags and then lots of other different carrier bags stuck to a yellow base. The plastic sheets are now prepared. Next, we're going to make templates so that we can cut out the different parts for our flowers. Let's have a little look at the models that I've made so we can understand the plant parts that need to be made. These are the sepals that are the leaf section of the flower, the petals and then the stamen. This is a 6-petal flower with 6 sepals and 6 petals and the stamen in the middle. This is a 4-petal flower with 4 sepals and a different design of stamen in the middle. Take a sheet of A4 paper and fold like this. We're going to remove this section of paper here, so use this line and cut along. And then we have a nice square piece of paper for our template. Fold the paper in half, point to point, and then fold it again. These are the 4 sides for our petal. Fold this again and then draw half of the petal shape that you want to create onto the paper. Make sure you have the pointed end facing towards you and the straight edge away. You're going to draw half a petal shape onto the paper, leaving a gap for the centre of the flower, starting here and ending approximately here. This is your half of a petal shape. Take the scissors and cut away the excess paper. Open out and check your petal shape is as you want it, and then open it out again to reveal your 4-petal flower. You can use this for a 4-petal flower, or you can cut 2 of the same shape so that you have an 8-petal flower like this one here. Next, I'm going to show you how to cut a 6-petal flower. Again, fold the paper the same way as previously so that you can cut out your square, removing the excess. Fold point to point, and then we want to create 3 sections. So fold one corner over this way, the other corner over this way, and carefully press down. Here you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of paper for our 6 petals. Fold in half again and have the point pointing towards you and the straight edge upwards. Note where the paper stops on all the layers. You can feel the ridge, and this is where the top of your petal must start. Make a little mark with your pencil. Again, note the point where your petal needs to finish to allow for the centre of the flower. I'm going to make mine a little bit smaller this time. And then draw on your half petal shape. Open up to check your petal shape. Trim if needed. So it's got a nice curve. And then open again to reveal your 6-petal flower. You can get creative with your petal shape and try different designs. This one's heart-shaped. And this one is serrated. The next section we need to cut is our sepals. The same process of folding and cutting the paper. The sepals are usually slightly smaller than the petals, so if you have your petal shape, you could measure your sepals to be slightly smaller in length. They are also thinner and more pointed. These will be able to sit behind the petals, like so. Again, this can be repeated for the 6-petal flower. Finally, the template for our stamen. If you want to make a flower like this one, you'll need to cut out a template. If you're going to make this style of stamen, I will demonstrate how to make this directly from the plastic without a template shortly. To decide on the size of your stamen template, they will need to be slightly smaller than your petals. Take your compass and choose the size you want them to be on your template. And then draw a circle on your sheet of paper and cut out this circle. Fold the paper in half and fold it again, and then fold it again. Hold the pointed corner towards you with the straight edge pointing upwards and draw half of your stamen design. I like to do a circle at the top and then a straight stem. And allow a piece at the bottom of the point for the centre of your flower. And cut this out. This can be a bit tricky and you may like to ask an adult to help you at this point. Here we go. Sepals, petals and stamen. Now we're ready to cut out the plastic. Take your paper templates and lay them on the plastic sheets to ensure that they fit. Always place the template near the edge of the sheet so that any excess material can be used for other parts. We're going to be cutting round the templates with scissors and they need to be secured to the plastic sheet. Use little pieces of blue tack and ensure the template is covered evenly so that it doesn't lift when cutting. I always find that more is better. And then place and stick smoothly to the plastic sheet. Repeat this for all 3 parts. Next, we can cut them out using a sharp pair of scissors. Take your time and gently cut around the curves of your different templates. Remember to keep and recycle all the offcuts from your flowers. These can be used again to make further sheets or smaller flower parts. I'm now going to show you how to create the circular stamen as shown in this flower here. As done previously, we need to measure the size of the stamen, which is slightly smaller than the petal. On this flower I've prepared earlier, I'm going to create a circle that's slightly smaller than where the petals finish. Using a piece of our scrap material, draw the circle onto the paper and then cut it out. This is the sheet of material I have left over from a previous flower I was making, and I'm going to cut the stamen out of that. Stick our circle to this sheet. I've chosen this sheet because it's slightly thinner, so it'll be very effective when creating the feathered fringe for the stamen. Once you've cut out your circle and remove the template, fold the circle in half and again into quarters if the material thickness allows, and then we're going to cut a fringe, carefully snipping in little strips. You can open the circle out, and any pieces that perhaps need a little bit more of a snip, you can do that at this point. This then creates this lovely feathered appearance which we can stick onto the centre of our flower. So next we're going to assemble our flower. Remove the paper templates from your flower, ensuring all the blue tack has come off as well. Lay out your flower parts in the order in which they should be assembled. The sepals go at the bottom, then the petals, then the stamen. You can decide on the position of the stamen yourself. I like them sitting in the middle of the petals. this one that I prepared before, the 6 petal, the lovely feathered stamen. And then I've cut 2 little circle templates out and a finished little circle for the centre of each flower. We're now going to use little bits of the double-sided sticky tape to stick the flower together. Carefully position the petals over the top of the sepals so that they are evenly positioned. And again for the stamen. And here are your assembled flowers. These could be your project finished at this point, but I'm going to show you how to make them more three-dimensional using this plastic bottle. You will need to ask an adult to help you with this part. Hold the bottle firmly and pierce it with the scissors. You can then cut around the bottle so that you have this cone shape. For a 4-petal flower, we're going to cut 4 sections into our bottle top to match the 4 sepals on the back. Leave about 3 centimetres to allow for the form of your flower. Each of these sections then needs to be cut into the shape of a sepal. Starting at the centre point of the section, cut down into the highest point of the cut. Remember to collect all these pieces and put with the remainder of the bottle, which you can recycle or use in other projects. Bend each section outwards so that it stays in position. You can fold a crease along the sepal to allow this. This can then stick to the back of your flower. I like to position it so that these points here hold the petals in position. Take some more double-sided tape and stick a slightly longer section across the crease so that it sits above and below it. This is to enable the flower to sit in position so that it has some depth, but it also holds the petals. Check that your flower sits within the bottle and that the tape will hold it in place. Remove the film from all 4 sections of the double-sided tape. Take the flower and place it over the centre of the bottle and allow it to curve down into the bottle. The great thing about this clear double-sided sticky tape is that you can lift and re-stick until the flower is in the correct position. As well as pushing the flower into the curve of the bottle, you are also sticking the petal onto the upper surface of the sepal. This allows the flower to have this lovely 3-dimensional shape. This is a 1-litre bottle and this can be used in the same way. For a 6-petal flower, you do the same, but you cut the bottle into 6 sections rather than 4. Again, leaving about 3 centimetres from the top of the bottle to the top of the cut. Some of these edges may be a little bit pointy, so be careful when handling them. You don't want to squish the flower down too much and lose the petal form. Just a gentle curve is enough to give it some shape. And another beautifully formed three-dimensional flower. You can create your own unique designs and petal shapes, layering as many different layers together as you wish, and as many different colours, using the same process. Creating a garden of colourful flowers. Thank you for watching. I hope you can take away the various processes I've described, recycling our plastic rubbish and using them to create your own ideas, artworks and installations.